Hello everybody, welcome to Jackie's Journey with Jackie.
Featuring Hannah.
And we are glad that you're here. If you haven't already subscribed, please subscribe. It's that little red button. At the end of Shack Life 2, we had been in the house for a little bit of time and now we had a phone. But prior to moving into the house, we had a not so welcome to the neighborhood. As a single parent, and those of you who are single parents out there, you're aware of this. A lot of times when you're talking to somebody or just casual conversation, and sometimes with friends or with people that you work with, there is a, maybe, I guess you could call it a sometimes prejudging, condescending kind of a feeling because you're a single parent. And then multiple, with 5 children, very awkward. Okay, so we're down at the beach. We hadn't quite moved in yet, but we were getting ready to move in, and it was warming up. It must have been spring or something, and I wanted to take the children down to show them the beach. And so we went to the beach. Now this is a private beach, and in order to go to the beach you have to be an owner. And we are now owners because we have, the down payment, we're getting ready to go to settlement. It's just a matter of days, I think, when we were going to be full-fledged owners in the neighborhood. So we're down at the beach, and there were 2 houses on either side of the road that led to the beach, which our house was all the way on the other end, on the marsh side. At the beach side, the 2 houses that were across from each other, one of the ladies from one of the houses was outside, and she was an older lady, and the children were down on the beach playing, and I was closer to where her house was. And right when you get to the beach, there's a little bench where people can sit and kind of take your shoes off or put them on or whatever. It's before you get on the beach and before you leave kind of thing. So that's about where I was, which is close to her yard. And so she came out, and mind you, I am all excited because I'm a new homeowner. We're moving into the neighborhood. It has beach. My children are just going to be so happy because they can go and play on the beach. And I don't have to, pay for summer camp because this is your summer camp. It's our new home.
And we can catch frogs.
I called it the Frog House because when I first bought it, now remember, this is a shack. That's why we call it a shack. So I had to use a little salesmanship in order to convince my children that this was going to be a fun adventure. And so I would refer to it as the Frog House because at the marsh, you could catch frogs, and they were kind of like wildlife. I grew up in the woods in Maine, and I was a very tomboy, wildlifey kind of person, and I think I passed that on to my kids. So when I referred to the Frog House, they would get really excited. Yes, this is going to be great. So we're down at the beach, and the lady comes outside, and she walks over to me, and she says, excuse me, but this is a private beach? And I said, oh, yes. I said, I know. And she said, well, you have to be an owner to be down here on the beach. And I said, oh, well, I am an owner. I'm buying that house on this road. And she said, which one? Which house are you buying? And I said, the one down at the end, down right at the end of this road. And she said, you're buying that little house down there? And I said, yes.
Did she say it just like that?
She did. I said, yes, I am. And I was just so excited. Yes, I am. I was really happy. And And I said, yes, I am. And she said, are those all your kids? And I was still really happy. I said, yes, they are. Those are all my kids. You gonna put all them kids in that tiny little house? At that point, I knew where she was going with this, and so I said, ma'am, I believe that that is every bit of my business and absolutely none of yours. So I guess our conversation is over. Have a nice day. And so at that point, I went over to the children and I told them, don't go on her yard. This is a neighbor that, sometimes you have to be mindful of these kind of neighbors and don't irritate them. And so I wanted to make sure that the children knew, don't irritate her. Just leave her alone and she'll be fine and we'll be fine. And I don't think we ever really had any problems out of it.
She mainly just stared at us from her glass patio window that overlooked the beach. But she was one of a couple of neighbors that we were told to stay away from.
Yes. But on the other side of that road, there was another neighbor that I didn't know for a while, but what I was later told is that the son of this particular woman was one of 5 children. And so this woman and her husband had 5 children, and that was their house that they raised their children in. And she would watch my children play on the beach and get a lot of pleasure out of it because all her children were grown and moved out. And so she would watch my children and it would remind her of when her children were younger. And there were times when, I think one time, either John or somebody had cut their foot or finger or something, and she gave them a Band-Aid, and one, I remember, told me that she gave them a drink, and there was...
I think there was a couple of times.
Yeah, because a lot of times when I would be at work, they would get home from school, but in the springtime, in the summertime when it started getting hot, in the summertime when it was really hot, they weren't going to school, they were at home the whole time. So I would try to get home just as soon as I could, and they would wait just as long as they could, but while I was there, we were drilling about safety and not going past your waist, and all of those things that on my way home, once I had given them permission to go down to the beach and be careful, I'm worried all the way home, hoping, please, please, please don't let anything bad have happened to them. There were many, many days like that but that was their summer camp. And when I would get home early, we would go down and practice, and I had a song called I Want to See Your Nose and I Want to See Your Toes, and it was at the same time. So sometimes they'd stick their feet in the air and their head would go down, or they'd have their nose up but I couldn't see their toes, and the idea behind that was to teach them to do the back float. And so we spent a lot of time learning how to swim. And teaching them about beach safety for the times when I wasn't there. And nobody drowned, thank God. And we had some fun summers in that house. And in the evenings, we would go and build fires on the beach. That was one nice thing about the beach too, is we could build fires and watch the stars and listen to the water on the beach. So it was like a little summer camp. And that was our not so welcome to the neighborhood. Do you remember anything else?
I don't think so.
think that concludes this story. Hope you enjoyed it, and thanks for listening, and thank you very much for subscribing. Tell a friend.
Give us a thumbs up.
Give us a thumbs up because you like it.
And share it.
Let us know you like it. Bye.